My name is Chukwemeka Izzy. I applied because I know the pedigree of the personalities involved with Hardware Garage, and I understood that our line of business would be really uplifted if we had the opportunity to meet people who are in their network. It was quite smooth. I was very much relaxed. I was not expecting anything in particular, and it felt like I was communicating with people who understood my dreams and passion, who had experience in the same line of business. Well, like I said, I wasn't expecting anything, and I was grateful I did. Well, I hope we get to meet individuals who will be willing to join us in doing this great thing that we plan to do.
My name is Chukwemeka Izzy, and my colleague here is Victor Jones. We are co-founders of Dreamfix Technologies.
We have to speak up.
Dreamfix Technologies.
Okay. There's a dream in your name.
Go on.
I met Victor in 2015 while we were just in second year. There was just one peculiar thing about common. We wanted to pursue something extra in engineering, something out of the classroom. And we started working, we joined a group called Creative Minds, where we basically brainstormed on different ideas in tech. So that was then. And then in 2019, we met again when we were both selected to participate in the electric vehicle project, which was funded by the school then with 1.6 million naira. Under the tutelage of engineer Professor Ozominani, we were able to complete that project, and I and Victor were like key members. Victor is very proficient in CED, and I myself am very good with embedded systems and power electronics. So after doing that project, gave us a lot of insight into what is possible with electric mobility in Nigeria, and we have decided to pursue it.
Yeah. So some of our discussions have been ranging from, because we looked at one thing that inspired us as engineering students and even engineering graduates was the possibility of manufacturing. And it's very factual that no country, like when we look at the developing world, ever got to where they get to without manufacturing being at its core. So, and then the whole changing paradigm of renewable sustainability created a new perspective of looking at energy generation, and these things created some of our thought process, and we're looking at how we merge our skills with the problems we have. And one of the areas we look at, as we talked about, was the transport industry. And the transport industry is very robust because it's very dynamic. You could go into so many things, ranging from public bus to delivery to logistics to so many. It's a whole wide field. And when we talk about also the issue of climate change, transport alone constitutes about 30% of the climate change problem. So it was one of the areas we decided to start testing, to start going into and solving problems. So one of our plans was to go into conversion, because we're looking at electric mobility. I want to transform old vehicles, because when we look at the statistics and we look at everything, we see that all automobile companies, without an exception, are all turning into electric mobility. And by 2030, 2035, we will have almost no company producing the old IC engine. And the old thing as it has been would be that Africa will be a dumping ground for all these old vehicles and IC engines. So we look at how can we key into this market? How can we do this? And we created the concept idea, which is our minimum viable product, which is of converting former gasoline tricycle into electric tricycle. And what we want to do by that is to have a tricycle come to us and we retrofit it into electric drive train. And by doing that, we reduce cost on fuel by 67%. We reduce cost on maintenance by 90%. And that means that each tricycle rider will be able to take more home. And the total cost relative to a new tricycle is not very large, it's just about 100,000 different than the normal tricycle. And when we calculated over a year time, the tricycle rider is saving as much as almost 500,000 by keying into our own e-mobility platform. And it being our start point means that we're looking further into the future to where we start being ourselves producing those electric vehicles. But this is our minimum viable product going into the market, converting already existing tricycle and vehicles into electric powertrain, because it has a whole lot of benefits. It's also keying into the climate positive program. So this is what we are doing, and thank you.
Yeah, we've been able to raise the total sum of 5.5 million naira to help us push this in seed funding and also from our own small activities. We will succeed because we have this, we are young, we are skilled, and we are innovative. We are passionate about this. We're giving all our time into it. And we also see that the model we have developed actually allows the transport, the keke rider take more home. Also, we are aware that there are lots of opportunities out there for funding for us, the international organization. We are here to ask for a sum of 100 million naira for 20% of our business.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Uche. Thank you, George, for your presentation. I just wanted to ask if you can give us a quick rundown on how you spend 100 million, if you're giving 100 million for this project.
Okay. The first thing we hope to do is to build a more equipped factory for our processes. Then build our first solar charging station, because we don't want to rely on the public supply for electricity. Then get like 5, because we've identified a focal point for electric tricycles in the metropolis, where we just have one battery swapping station, where we have one mega solar charging station. Every battery goes there to charge. Then in the morning, we send from there to the different swapping stations. So with the swapping station, we hope to establish every tricycle gets to swap just once. And what we mean by a focal point for a tricycle is, like Noah's, there are several routes that they can leave from Noah's. They can leave from Noah's to T-Junction, from Noah's to Tamika through Phase 6, some leave from there to Abakpa, and some leave from there to personal businesses, or private businesses. So if we have a swapping station somewhere around Noah's, it means that every tricycle, when he notices that his battery is going down, he can just head back there to swap under 5 minutes. So with the 100 million, we'll be able to set up these swapping stations, charging station, and our factory. And then our first conversion kits.
I want to ask a question. The battery you swap for, so what happens with it?
We charge it against the next person.
When do you charge it?
Now, the mega charging station we talked about is we won't be using the normal charging conduits, because we know that charging your vehicle takes about 1 hour, even depending on the type of charging mode you are using. So we created a battery swapping model where we'll have a big mega charging station to be able to use that as a mini grid to supply and also other businesses. But specifically for the electric vehicle, we have your battery comes there and it charges. So very early in the morning, before anybody will need it, we distribute it to our various centers. So anybody that comes in will just bring his phone down, and once he brings it down, we start charging. We take it back, start charging that one, and put in a new one for him. And within 5 minutes, he's have his own charge, because we're able to measure how much battery capacity will this person need to drive for a day. It's calculated in 1 hour, so we calculated that and we know how many kilometers we can give him. So by the time we do that, he gets a new battery and gets all the power he needs to drive for the rest of it.
Every tricycle needs about 5.76 kilowatts hour to run like 60 kilometers, and that 60 kilometers is enough to go almost around the world in 1 day. So we are sure that with 5.76 kilowatts hour, they can run like almost a whole day. They will only need to swap once. And once the batteries are there, we go around every day twice to distribute charged batteries and to collect the discharged batteries.
I'm still going to come back to the fund you need and why you need such a large fund, because I still believe in a premises you can still build your factory, still build your charging station. The only thing I don't see you being able to build there is your swapping station. So I wonder why you need 100 million to build more or less these two things and what really will be contained in that factory. Unless we're building a factory for something else. But I saw an electric powered tricycle. We didn't make a lot of traction. A lot of people were not appreciating. First, it was slower, from what I could tell, and there was not much interest in that. Why do you think that is the case? Because I use a country like India. I think they have one of the largest. So what is the problem with? Because I think it's a fantastic idea trying to electrify Jackie. But why do you think people are not really jumping on it? I take India for example, or like I said, the one that Bonny State governor was trying to introduce.
Okay, being something that we've worked on before, we know the critical criteria. We've worked on, the first one working with the school, we saw the performance and it has given us data to be able to work on others. And one of the things we saw is that it wasn't moving as fast as the one you talked about, and it's quite specifically because of the battery characteristics and also the motor power capacity. Normally, your IC engine that you swap for is a 6.5 horsepower gasoline engine, which is about 4.9 kilowatts. So, and if you take out that IC engine and put a motor of just 3 kilowatts, you have a poor performance because you won't have enough torque for acceleration. So, and what we've done is to study from our first work all of those things, all of those characteristics. It has taken us time to specially study those things, and we've gotten specifications that will be needed to get a tricycle as optimum, and even because the motor we're looking at will be able to give us top peak power of 10 kilowatts, which is far more than anyone you can get to your conventional gasoline. And one of the problems I also say for the government program is, you know, some of the things over the years we've got to work with the university, work with the Lion Science Park, with the quality of the university, and work with the NADTC, National Automotive Development and Design Council. And I've seen the bureaucracy and lethargy of the government work. And I'm not saying that as specifically one of the problems, but one of the things I think we also have is a good managerial skills and that passion to get moving, unlike the government program. So we believe that touch to it is also something to make it viable, unlike
okay, so the MVP, that the product you were saying you have designed and built, I mean, we'll ask
okay, it's still on that design.
Okay, it's not done yet.
We've ordered for components and they're on their way now.
So there's no MVP yet.
But by mid of next month it will be fully ready because we've gotten our tricycle, we've ordered components which are already on the air now as we're speaking. So by mid next month we'll have our tricycle with our first from our first fund we've gotten working.
So I have this question in terms of your supply for, have you been able to have a partnership? Because I know the popular tricycle brands are Bajaj and RE, and most of them have come from India. Do you have you been able to, I think Simba also, have you? I think Simba makes TVS also. So
the step we're taking is not.
And you'll be able to, because I know what you're trying to do is probably if you get the already made keke, then probably change the engine and do some work on it. Those engines you're going to remove, do you have plans of how you are going to lay off those engines? Who are you going to supply it to? Because that's part of the agreements you have with like a tricycle company. If I buy it from you and I remove the engines, I can sell it back to you. So that means it drops in price. Have you be able to do that?
We don't plan to do that for now.
Okay, and part of the steps we are taking, like presently I'm working on a research proposal with the university, and what I want to do is to see how we could reuse the transmission by making some conversions, changing some components like the gear. Now, what we do, we've taken deep study in the proposal to see out of the various gear combination, which one exactly can work perfectly with the motor. And what we do, we just need a component manufacturing, probably like a shaft or a gear. And that's the only thing we have to send over. Just give us this shaft with these specifications. And when we just get the tricycle, we'll just remove the IC engine part and put our own. Because I come from background, like I said, from CAD design, which is computer-aided design and mechanical design, which gives me so much proficiency in designing mechanical components. So I feel what we want to do is to really going to deep manufacturing, being able to manufacture this component ourselves.
Excuse me. First of all, I just want to get your complete.
Yeah, I just want to find out. He asked a very vital question. What plans do you have with the manufacturers? You don't need to rely on. You can absolutely start talking to any of those people. You give them the specification. You understand? When Tesla started their thing, they didn't just bought cars from people and change the conversion or whatever it is. You know, you have it, you plan on purpose. Either Simba, Bajaj, whatever this you can rely, you know, you can get an MOU or whatever. You now give them the specification, or maybe this is what I want, so that it will make your work easier. Then, if you want to, you can buy from the market, from every other person, and now want to do this. It might be a little bit, and if you are trying to go green by all this, so what happened to the machine? You ask, do you have a trading system where you take it back? I think it's something you should explore ab initio while you are doing this other one, just like you're doing this. It's important you take that into consideration.
Yeah.
So I think before you answer that, I just want to get a very clear picture. I want to get a very clear picture of what you are proposing, because I see from multiple interpreting, I think they are getting multiple interpretations. So if I'm wrong, you know, correct me, okay? So first, you have keke drivers that own the kekes, right? You don't own the keke. Right? Do you buy the keke from the keke drivers?
We don't have to, except the person wants to sell.
Okay, so what you do is that you tell them, okay, come, I will convert your diesel, your keke that uses petrol, uses gasoline, I will convert it to electric keke for you. So the person will bring this keke that is already driving, and you now convert it. So are you charging money for that conversion?
Sure.
Okay, so you are charging money for that conversion, plus all the benefits that it will give to the person after. This thing. And then you now add the way where the person can be swapping the battery so he doesn't spend time charging, right? Because I wanted to understand your...
So, how much are you charging exactly for the conversion?
The conversion costs about 830,000.
830,000.
So do you expect the driver to afford that amount of money? How much can buy? The amount can buy new keke?
No, it's going to give you just about one keke. But the thing is, realistic. You can just buy a keke. Okay, but realistically, what they are, I believe, hoping on is the benefits that come. You are no longer going to be spending on fuel. And but my worry is that the people who buy these kekes, or the people who ride them, first of all, won't be able to afford that. And secondly, if I was a businessman, I already did keke business in the past. I bought keke and I wanted to give to people on hire purchase. The last thing I want to do is spend any extra money, not to mention 800 and something thousand extra on the already cost of buying those keke, to change them to electric keke, irrespective of the future benefits of that. So it's actually a serious matter.
Again, he needs a lot of capacity for people to understand the workability of this conversion. It's not the average keke man on the street might not want to.
No, we've actually asked questions.
Very briefly again, can you just, you might have said, told us the answer, but I didn't hear you. How will we spend 100 million naira? Then secondly, have you interacted with any company that is into EV manufacturing? Because I think that the cost of converting already built kekes into electric kekes that you just stated now is quite high, so it needs a lot of stranded assets. So do you think it's better to interact with other companies that do this automobile manufacturing from the get-go and then have this system directly in place before they put the engines? Because then if you change the engines, what do you do with them? It's all like losses for whosoever bought them in the beginning. So, and then I think also there are a few other e-mobility companies around Africa, like in Kenya and other places. Have you done any research to interact with any of them to learn from what they do?
Good afternoon. This is Emeka Ogwe. One question I'll have is, how much do you propose to be charging them on an ongoing basis?
think we start from the first one, which is how we spend the 100 million. I've already stated it. We already stated earlier that we need the 100 million to build our factory, build our first mega solar charging station, and get our first 50 retrofitting kits. Then with what we have been doing so far with researching on already existing retrofitting companies and what we do with the engine. First of all, we are talking already the suppliers we have in China. We discovered that they also make these other parts like the shafts and because they make motors and other components. The only thing they don't make is of course the engine parts. So we discovered that we can just with the already existing engine. The engine has a transmission part, so we can just cut out the transmission part, modify just a part of that, the shaft that connects the motor to that transmission and reuse it exactly the way it is. That's what Peter was trying to explain, and we've established that they can actually help us do this. And this is something that's going to help us cut up to 220,000 from the cost of the cost that we mentioned earlier, which is 830,000. Then there's the other question on
how much do you propose?
How much are you going to charge them?
On a regular basis, swapping the battery.
Okay, on a regular basis, we're proposing a minimum of 500 naira for a single swap.
Against the 1.5 that over our discussion and interaction with tri-cycle users that they spend each day. And average tri-cycle users spend about 1.5.
Yes, you said you have a CAD background where you design, and that's fantastic because to me, I think your business should actually focus on the manufacturing of these vehicles. If you told me you're going to sell an electric keke for 800 and something thousand, it makes a whole lot of sense. You're selling it for millions. Because the current is just good for the long haul. You already have the skill. Yes, and I think if you're going to be thinking about construction of your factory, it should be focused on the production of the complete keke. I put you. Sorry, you didn't mention it. I tried
verifying it that we're doing two things. We're both converting old ones and we're looking into new ones, producing new ones.
Yeah. We're talking about the difficulty of going to start producing in that scale. Going to bring in these parts, negotiating and starting. You don't need to negotiate. That's why we decided that as a way to just start, we can just take these things that are already here, the ones that are failing.
Yes, see, you're a young engineer. I love the concept of manufacturing. Are you listening to me? Everybody knows what a keke is. It's a smaller vehicle. In fact, I think that's where the whole point of having a keke is, because it's smaller. It's not a motorcycle, so it's safer than a motorcycle. But it doesn't have the size of a car. So we already know what a keke looks like. And you said you have a computer-aided design background. If I tell you now, if I paid you money and said, can you come up with a design of a keke for me by next week? Your answer will be yes, and you get to your system and design it. I'm saying to you that instead of saying you want to do A and B, why don't you focus, on building the whole, because conversion, in fact, you will notice that if your business goes well, where you are producing an electric keke, people will not even be buying, the old ones become, these Bajaj and this will be obsolete. People will now, if it works as it should be, so that is where your focus, if you ask me, should be. That is where the business is. That's actually where the money is. I put you to news, I think that broke yesterday about the jet electric vehicle. These ones that are partnering with GIG Motors. They've come to a point now where they say they want to be the Teslas of commercial buses. And they're actually building it. They actually raised some funds, a few $1 million, a few months ago, and they're actually saying we're going to construct the first of its kind factory, in Nigeria to take on commercial bus.
I feel excited about the program that had just happened. I learned a lot from the investors in terms of advice, network, like the person from Aba who says he has a facility there. We've always thought of having something close where we can easily get materials. Going forward, I hope to solidly do what we are doing currently, do it more firmly and more vigorously, and possibly hook up with those guys and see what we can do.